Alright, hello to all my guys, gals, and non-binary pals out there from across the electrical ocean. This is Jazzman, and we are back with another game, this time between Faust001 and Bot109272, who I'm just going to call Bot from now on because listing all those digits off multiple times in a row is going to get annoying. So it looks like we have Draxar here for Faust, recipient of several key buffs in the recent SL patch that just came out. And for Bot, we have what looks to be Iron Fist Underdepths Barbarians. And I'm so glad that the old Savage Racial no longer exists. It's basically my first thought upon seeing this split. If you don't know, the old Savage Racial was a racial ability that barbarians used to have many years ago, and what it did was if you had 5 or more champions with it in play, your barbarians basically gained perseverance, except a better version of perseverance where they couldn't even die to auras and damage over time and things like that until the end of the next turn. So what you do is you'd play a bunch of barbarians and you'd abuse sacrifice and retribution. And this was back when Old Sacrifice refunded 100% of the Nora, I believe. Or at least a higher percentage than it does now. But that no longer exists, thankfully. The game is in a much more balanced state. And we also have Deep Elf Scout, I believe. That was stealthed early. Yep, Deep Elf Scout coming out and contesting that mid-font, or Bot. Meanwhile, Centurion moving around, trying in vain to find that scout for the moment, who is quite a strong champion in pure Draxar. He's got a lot of synergistic abilities, violent, of course. They're pseudo-racial, protective for when your other Draxar are attacked. And then Bulwark, which honestly didn't really do much for Faust at this point in the game, since he deployed it as his second champion, so he only gained 2 max HP from that. But Centurion is fairly cheap, 68 Nora with the Battlemaster 1 build. So he really didn't lose too much, assuming he didn't have anything else to go for that font. And Centurion is fairly tanky as well, so he's a good haggler for fonts. Against champions like the Scout, who aren't combat focused. So we also have Draxar High Priest. Mainstay in Draxar, as I would say. You'd probably only want to run one of him, though, in most cases, just for that awesome global buff from Sermon. The Worm Priest also is a bearer of Sermon, but you don't really see him much at all, since High Priest is a much better champion, and that is a Shadow. Interesting. So we have Shadow being cast by Bot, and what that does is it stealths all champions in play and gives them pacified for 1 turn. But since Deep Elf Scout does have Detection 3, he's just running that guy up to find all of Faust's champions while keeping his own completely hidden from view. Interesting. So we know roughly more or less where the Scout is, since it is detecting all of these champions. So with some clever movement, Faust could probably find and kill that Scout. Although he will have to deal with several stealthed, angry barbarians running after this mid-font. So I'm assuming this is some kind of stealth abusing split with maybe Ember Wasp. Or, no, man, it's going to be so hard to keep track of all this crap. So he has a Savage Shieldman in play, somewhere over here. He has a Barbarian Elite, also making his way towards mid. And, what else? Deep Elf Assassin. So he did deploy a Deep Elf Assassin here as well, somewhere. Probably near the shrine or around this font. And Deep Elf Assassin is probably one of the best assassinators in the game at the moment, just because of how strong she gets with the UD damage buff and having Assassinate rank 2, 7 speed for better positioning compared to 6 speed assassins, which I think there's only like 2 of them. The Dark Marsh, not the Concealer. Yeah, the one with Flash Bomb. There's a Dark Marsh champion with Assassinate 1 who only has 6 speed. but it's great to have 7 speed on your assassinate units. So we have Confessor coming down, thankfully no longer bugged. For Invoke working as intended. And we have Regenerate, Distracting Blows. So that scout, Faust didn't actually find on his last turn, so he's still sneaking around, probably drifting up towards Faust's top font. And he positioned that footman in prime position to recontest, should that scout decide to get in there. Which he doesn't this turn for Bot, so this is kind of awkward. I can't really commentate on the action, since there really is no action at the moment. All of Bot's champions are currently stealthed, so it's hard to make any calls on what's going on in the game. I'm assuming that the Savage Shieldman is somewhere in this font, and the Elite is maybe positioned around here to intercept this Confessor. So Faust deploys the War Banner, keeping his font from being taken outright by the scout. And we just have Faust sort of moving in with the Sermon here, giving everyone that nice buff, and then passing the turn back, keeping a Centurion contesting in the font, and saving a lot of AP on his champions. Not that Bot currently has any way to take advantage of that, but he does have to be mindful of that Assassin, which could show up at any moment. I'm betting the Assassin is going to go after either the Confessor or maybe the High Priest if he can sneak around. And yep, there's a smoke cloud, so more Shadow Spawn from Bot. And let's see what he's going to deploy here. I'll just keep this combat log open so that we don't miss it. Siegemonger, interesting. And so the Siegemonger, anti-relic champ, doesn't have Seism, actually. He took the Siege Lord upgrade, as we can see from the buffs in this little log over here. So currently no relics can be deployed from the rune dock. Although Faust does still have the banner down. Siege Lord does nothing against relics that are already in play. And what's he gonna do? So Bot currently only has the Shieldmen and the Elite down, as well as the Scout. So he doesn't really have kill pressure on any of the on the Centurion. But these ranged squishies in the back are definitely prime targets. Now we do see Scout. Scout actually drifted down towards Bot side. Interesting. So he probably crossed either through the tar here to avoid the shrine detection, or he walked the long way all the way around through this narrow bridge. I'm betting he just crossed the tar. So Confessor using that Invoke, losing 3 AP, and so that was a nice little bit of a counterplay there. So Confessor's Invoke is confused, which removes upgrades, and since Deep Elf Scout's only stealth ability is Shadow Spawn as an upgrade, removing the Shadow Spawn upgrade actually de-stealthed the Deep Elf Scout. So very nice from Faust. And then he deploys a Draxar Archer for Barrage, and that Deep Elf Scout is not going to last very long in this font, I'm betting. Will last at least a few turns, though. Maybe give time for the Deep Elf Assassin or one of the stealthed Barbarians to move up there. And there's a cancel magic, actually, against Demolish. So Demolish likely being played on this banner. Try and capture the font. So he will not get an easy capture there from maybe the Shieldman, maybe the Elite. No, he still has one champion in this font. If I'm thinking what he had to leave in this font to contest, I'm betting it's the Shieldman. And I mean, I have no way to tell for sure, of course, but I'm just guessing based on intuition, because Elite can 1v1 better than the Shieldman can. So if it were me, I would probably send Elite up top, because he'd be more easily able to deal with any defenders. Whereas Shieldman is sort of more of a supporting champion with Shroud and whatnot. So Scout doing everything he can at this point to stall the Confessor. And thanks to that smoke cloud, Nephri Fireslinger comes in stealthed, and he's probably going to start escalating, assuming he took that upgrade. And the elite, or whatever's in this font, doesn't actually attack the banner just yet, probably saving AP for a double hit on it next turn. Didn't want to reveal himself for really no purpose at this point. So we see Centurion going back to haggle for that font. And man, this would be such an annoying position if I were Faust. Both fonts contested. Now he's going to reclaim this one. But that Deep Elf Assassin is most likely around this area, sniffing out that Confessor, looking for an easy kill. Either there or probably going after the High Priest, since those are two of the, I would say, the easiest targets. And High Priest, perhaps sensing the danger, moving all the way back to the shrine. And Faust surrendering the mid-font, I'd say in this position that's probably a good idea. You really don't want your units so far up against all this stealth. And it's probably better to do everything you can to recapture your own fonts rather than just have units sitting contesting against a bunch of stealth that is more than likely never going to reveal itself until it can get a kill. So secure your own fonts basically before going after the mid font. The idea, and it was actually the Deep Elf Assassin that was up top. Impervious being casted on it. So no damage onto that Deep Elf Assassin, unless Faust does have Purge in his deck. And Purge, of course, would remove the Impervious condition, allowing the Deep Elf Assassin to be targeted. She does have the Vuln Physical upgrade. But with the Centurion only having 9 damage, even if Purge comes down, I doubt she would die that turn. Footman also would be in range of 1 attack, I suppose. And now it's interesting to note that dispel effects, such as the AoE Purge from Dragon God's Staff being dropped, as well as the Purge spell, actually do remove stealthed. Because stealth is a condition that can be removed like that. So if Deep Elf Assassin does stealth up again, dropping Dragon God's Staff will, I suppose, limit the number of spaces that the Deep Elf Assassin has access to in this font. So that's an option, a little bit of counterplay on Faust's side if he so chooses. And then we see this font being recontested. And Blister coming out for Faust, and Blister does AoE damage global damage rather, to everything in play. Non-Draxars, non-Dragonkin basically, Skizik, Draxar, and dragons. So that's a nice bit of global detection, pseudo-detection. So we see all of Bot's champions being revealed here. It's Shieldman in this font, Assassin in this font, and Elite sort of making his way up to the top side. With the Fire Slinger over here in the back. So with the Shieldman being revealed, I'm assuming it's going to die this turn. Let's see, he's got, 15 damage here. Well, Confessor only has 9. And Barrage is on cooldown, having been used to kill that Scout in the previous turn. But the Elite is actually in a place where he can be waylaid by this Footman, sort of blocking him off from helping the Assassin deal with Centurion here. We have Akakios' blade going down onto the Confessor. And that won't quite be a kill. He was, I guess, hoping for Ren to finish it off, but he is a bit short. Shieldman will be at 3, and that will leave Bot in a good position to either sacrifice or retribution it. And actually, Faust does go after and kill this Barbarian Elite, which is probably an easy thing to do since the War Banner is still contesting. And that Assassin still does have Skirmisher from the Impervious spell. It lasts 3 turns. So his turn, and then Faust, and then 1 additional turn. And that was actually given to it a while ago to prevent Shrine rushing with the spell. Because people would, like way back in the day, people would use Impervious when there were fewer counters to it to just put it on a high damage champion, rush the Shrine before Transfigure, of course. And then there would be no counterplay because you couldn't damage it, and then it could just hit at your shrine, and there was nothing you could do. So Bot sort of exemplifying the older style of things here: stealth, ISUD, impervious. Although the deck has definitely lost some of its luster in the passing years, and Shieldman getting one last hit before it goes down onto that Confessor. Not really going to do much. Regen 2, going to save it. Now, if Retribution comes out here, that still would not be enough to finish the kill, but if he has enough for 2 spells, which he should, since he does currently have 3 fonts, he could maybe do like a Fire Blast or an Animosity to finish that Confessor off. And Deep Elf Assassin re-stealths here, and she can't really hit the banner. Assassinate is on cooldown for 1 more turn. So she's probably just going to wander around near the back of the font, or potentially leave it completely, and sort of fake Faust out here as to where she's going to be at. Meanwhile, Siegemonger sort of just hanging back, Fireslinger hanging back, waiting for escalation. And Faust is actually defending against this pretty well. Smoke Cloud, I think, still has 1 charge left on it, so the next champion that Bot decides to play will come in stealth. And yep, pop goes the Shieldman. No sacrifice or retribution. I would have assumed a sacrifice at least would come out, but maybe he was saving Nora for something big? He didn't deploy anything last turn, unless I missed something in the combat log, but nope. So we do have Dragon God Staff coming down, as I said, for that Dispel. Not really the ideal location. Ideally, you'd want to put it here, but that's all the Centurion had the AP to do. And it is a real relic, so even if Centurion goes down to an Assassinate, Deep Elf Assassin will have to deal with 2 relics in this font, and Demolish. Bot's Demolish is already on cooldown, thanks to Cancel Magic. So yeah, these Drax are fairly tough customers. And even with both of Faust's fonts contested, he's still managing to hold on. So we have the Sermon coming down. Nice little buff again, and then a Forerunner. More detection. So Faust does have a lot of counters, actually, to Bot's deck in his own. So once that Forerunner gets over there, the Assassin should be done for. Assuming... so... depending on where the Assassin went after she re-stealthed, she could potentially get an Assassinate off onto this Centurion here. We know she's not within the 3 spaces here, so she's probably near the back. And an Assassinate at this health level would be enough to kill. So Fireslinger, we see doing a little Lava Storm onto that Footman, sort of preventing its advance here, and although it does also prevent Siegemonger from doing any additional damage to the Footman this turn, unless he wants to walk over his own lava, which is ill-advised due to the encroaching nature of these ranged champions. And Bot actually quite behind on deploys, I would say. He didn't deploy last turn, and he used Nora on his previous turn for Impervious. And so we see a Deep Elf Fanatic, as well as another Smoke Cloud coming in. So that's about 90 to 100 Nora he used there. He should still have a little bit left. And another Stealth Barbarian Bolt. Yeah, see, he was saving up a lot. Probably for some big turn that he never got the opportunity for. I'm just waiting on that Ember Wasp. I know he's got it in his deck. I mean, it's a stealth deck. You got to be running Ember Wasp, right? That's the whole idea. Is stealth Shrine Bombs. Other than that, I'm not really seeing any obvious synergy between the champions he's got in play. I was assuming it was Barbarians at first, but that's out the window. So Barbarian Bolt, Fanatic, somewhere around. And like I said, though, once Forerunner gets into the mix, Bot is going to have an awfully hard time keeping his strategy afloat. And actually, this Fire Slinger probably going to die here. Faust completely unconcerned about that lava, just walking right up. Violent plus Sermon giving these Draxar a huge power buff in the damage department. Plus 7 on that Flashblade. Thunder, Hunter crippled. Then Archer coming in. I'm pretty sure Barrage is off cooldown at this point, so that Fire Slinger is toast. Demon Shield could have saved it, but of course Sundered Lands does have Reforge. And then we see a Quickening here. I'm pretty sure that was unnecessary. He could have gotten... unless I miscounted and Barrage was still on cooldown, but I'm pretty sure he could have gotten a kill without it. But either way, the Fire Slinger goes down. Footman maybe going to grab that globe. Yep. Because see, Footman could have gotten an attack as well, and then Flashblade could have moved up 1 for the Bravery, giving him 20 damage. So Assassin not been found yet, but the way the Forerunner is positioned, there is basically, there's pretty much no chance of an Assassinate going down at this stage. Unless, now see, one thing he could do though is instill Panic on the Forerunner, moving it out of the way and out of the detection overlap here, so that Deep Elf Assassin could walk here and assassinate that Centurion. But actually, Assassin isn't even in the font anymore. So she could be lurking around up here, which is pretty much the only place she could be, I would say, at this point. Because, Forerunner was deployed here, and Detection 3 covers a pretty large area, so unless she somehow moved away before the Forerunner was deployed, towards here maybe, she's still kind of sitting up here waiting for Forerunner to leave, perhaps, and then recontest that font again. So Siegemonger throwing himself at that Footman, getting blocked. And unless a Demon Shield or something comes down, that Siegemonger is going to suffer the same fate as that Fire Slinger from earlier. Because Faust is sort of at that critical mass point where he's got Violent working for him really well. He's got Surge Enemy working for him. Draxar have a really strong late game with all the buffs they can provide. And so he deploys, Bot deploys Huntress, Barbarian Huntress. And interestingly, the boar didn't actually get stealthed by Smoke Cloud. So only from the Rundock champions, and boar was not deployed from the Rundock. That makes sense. So it's worth noting that Bot does still have 2 lurking stealth champions, the Barbarian Bolt, as well as the Deep Elf Fanatic. And if his previous playstyle is any indication, he's probably going to send one of them to this font, and maybe keep the other one lurking around mid. Deep Elf Assassin actually getting found by taking 4 damage. What was that? 4 fire damage? She took 4 damage from something, and then got de-stealthed. Stealth decks are so annoying. I can't even commentate properly because it's like there's nothing really I can say about Bot's play until his champions are revealed, and then when they are, it's like, oh, I've already missed something. But anyway, Deep Elf Assassin is there, and but I think at this point Faust is probably, now that he has his fonts back, he's probably just going to run away with the game, because Bot does still have a few champions lurking in stealth, but I mean, how is he gonna make any progress here? Fnatic could potentially kill that Footman with a Manic, but then he would just go down to the range. He can't even reveal himself to do any damage, because Faust champions are just they're all full HP. He has no kill pressure, and they're too well positioned. If Bolt wanted to contest that font, which he is, he does an attack, but so what? He's just gonna get ranged down. even through paralytic feedback, I mean, at this point, Faust is in a position where he gets paralyzed, like, nothing is really going to threaten him. Because after Bolt dies, it's basically just a Huntress and Fanatic, which I'm assuming is around here. So we see Granite Bracers actually going down onto Fanatic, and yep, there he is. Right where I figured. He actually pounces in on the Footman, but that won't be quite enough to kill, assuming Block is up. And actually, Block is not up. I guess he didn't. I guess he didn't assume that he was in danger at that point. Probably thinking the Fanatic was closer to this font than it actually was. But the Footman does go down for now, and Brutality Barbarian eating up the last charge of that smoke cloud. But yeah, so that Fanatic with Granite Bracers. I mean, there is Reforge, but Granite Bracers only eats one attack, and he could just, you know, get rid of that with Confessor, or 9 damage. Yeah, or the High Priest. That also works. Probably wanted to keep the Confessor's AP available for the Rend. Then Draxar Archer, 2 hits with Barrage. Pop, pop, and then it'll die to Rend. Or he could put the last hit on it and grab 2 globes. I'd probably do that. I'd probably just, you know, hit it with Draxar Archer again. And maybe hit the bolt with Confessor. We'll get paralyzed, but we'll get a Rend on it. Probably worth it. And then grab these 2 globes. And maybe, yeah. So he's not going to die. He's going to let it die to Rend, which is fine. Tempest Spore is probably going to collect those globes then. And he puts the last hit onto the bolt. Gets 3 of his champions paralyzed, but he does get 2 kills for his trouble. And we also see Bodyguard coming up, so he'll be able to protect at least one of them. Probably the Flashblade, I would say. You could also protect the High Priest, which would also be a good choice, since that assassin is still lurking. You could do it if you moved into range with High Priest. But we're going to see a Brood Queen deployed, and now Brood Queen was also the recipient of a nice buff in the SL patch, coming in with Regal Presence now, and I can't even talk about it because the game's over. Faust takes the victory. So nicely played against that onslaught of stealth, and we'll see you in the next one.